Hi, Terry Sanchez from heriksport.com. Today in our studio headquarters we have Henrik Christoffersen, physiotherapist, and we're going to talk about some common concerns and key concepts of club swinging. So it's going to be relevant for new beginners and people that are considering getting into club swinging. Henrik, people sometimes get a bit worried about the small discomforts they experience when they are swinging. I hear stuff like, "Oh, is this good for your shoulder?" or "My wrist hurts," or "It's uncomfortable. What about my knees?" You know, people got some preconception about physical training, and stuff that looks a bit different, that is unknown, creates concern. They think, "Oh, look at that, he's twisting." You know, they forget that we are designed to move in 3 dimensions.
Yeah.
Do you encounter this in your rehab setup at the clinic?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Being fearful of moving is not a an uncommon thing.
Right.
In my clinic,
Yeah.
and I suspect that you encounter it as well.
Yep.
In your classes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, people sometimes have beliefs about movement being hurtful or damaging.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that is, if you look at the science, it's definitely not so.
True. I mean, we still have the old myth in the strength training about squats are bad for the knees and this kind of stuff, right? So, with the reborn kind of trend with the club swinging, it is not surprising. Some of the stuff that I hear is, for example, when we are swinging from side to side, you know, people say, "Oh, it's going to be bad for your knees." Yeah, it can be bad for the knees, right? Especially if you stay with a stiff and lock knees and you try to twist. But as you have soft knees, you allow for this gentle rotation. Maybe can you explain a bit about this rotation about the knee?
Yeah. Well, our knees are designed to rotate, you know, in some degree.
Some degree.
Yeah. So this is a physiological option that we have, that our bodies have.
Yep.
So knees are actually meant to rotate a bit.
Yep.
But you know, it's definitely also so that if the rotation exceeds beyond a limit where it's, you know, not physiologically sound, rotation can be bad for your knees. So it's all about really controlling it and dosing the movement.
Yep.
And if, you know, a certain aspect of a movement hurts, then try and change it.
Yes.
See if you can move in another way.
Another way.
Yes.
So here, for example, it would be just a simple question of allowing that heel to lift, so we can have a full rotation through the whole body instead of staying a bit more upright and moving from side to side, right? So we can't say there's right or wrong way in the technique of club swinging. Some people are going to have their feet in the ground, and some other are going to allow their body to move a lot more and rotate like this. Yeah.
We all move in different ways.
Exactly. Yeah. And you know, I'm raising this question because there is a lot of dogma when it comes to trends that have been forgotten and then brought again. There's different approaches and schools of thinking of this is the way club swinging is done. Okay, it already finds in its historical roots the difference between what we call the natural training stance and the military stance. You know, we have to look back at the historical view that when the when the Brits took the Indian clubs back to Europe, that era, it was considered rude actually to move the hips, to sway at the hips. So that was one thing that they did, and they stayed very stiff, and everything happened in these plane of motions without the body rotating from side to side. So it actually locked the body in those positions, all the movements happening around the shoulder.
So that was a cultural thing.
That was a cultural thing, you know, and you can try to swing in both styles and see what feels best, what is going to allow you to swing the most weight as well. There's going to be a difference if you work with a light club or heavy club. And the Brits, you know, when they took the Indian clubs back to Europe, they made them light versions. The regulation club for the army was 2 kilo. So it's still in the context of light club. So yes, you can do movement in a certain way when it's a lightweight, but it's not going to work with a heavier weight. If you look at the Persians and the Hindus still practicing the club swinging, they move with the whole body and emphasizing this rotation, you know, so building up the core really in 3D.
Yeah.
So while we're at it, we might as well talk about key concepts of club swinging and where it could go wrong or cause an injury, and maybe what, from your background, tell us what kind of problem is likely to occur. So the first one is the concept of engaging the shoulder.
Yeah.
So for example, I'll demonstrate here. Swinging should be happening at the shoulder joint with the shoulder held in place. If you're swinging like this, what's going to happen if I start to swing like that? What could be an injury or a problem in the long run?
It could be, you know, pain or discomfort.
Yep.
You know, in the first instance. If you insist on doing it enough times, it can, you know, potentially become an injury.
Yep.
Yeah. But you know, the body is very clever in the sense that it will tell you to stop way before it actually becomes an injury.
That was good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Another thing that I think about this simple problematic that you could say is we're extending the lever arm. So here it's a shorter distance than here. So there could be repercussions on the lower back or around the you know, the midsection.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and you know, people, usually new beginners that do not know so much the difference between Indian clubs, what we call Indian clubs, the British style clubs, which are light, and then grabbing a steel club that maybe weighs 6 kilos and forgetting to engage that shoulder and maintaining in place is definitely like exponent. Second key concept is the midsection engagement, so that, for example, when I'm swinging, I'm just too relaxed and I'm letting my hips moving forward, and then this midsection is loose, when in reality I need to maintain this in straight line so my spine is stacked.
Yeah.
Do you see that in other sports activities?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I think it's a very common movement pattern.
Yeah.
And it could be due to many things. It could be due to the fact that you're actually not aware of how you move. It could be due to the fact that maybe your flexion, this movement in your shoulder, is limited, so you're actually compensating
So
by extending your lower back.
Come higher up.
Yes. Yeah. So it's all about, you know, analyzing the movement.
Yeah.
And maybe doing some few simple tests, and, you know, suiting it up for the individual.
Yes.
Yeah. So that we can, you know, I won't say correct, because I don't like the term of movement being correct or non-correct.
Because we're so unique in our physiology,
the
bone structure and everything, right?
Yeah, but we can always, you know, make movement more efficient.
Yep.
Yeah. And that would be a strategy to create more efficient movement, both for your shoulder but also for your midsection or your lower back.
Yep.
To avoid, you know, the repetitive extension in your lower back, because that could be a problem for some people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not because it will make your lower back explode or it will injure it, but, you know, if you bend it over enough times, at some point it will start, you know, complaining.
Yes.
Aching,
Yeah. Or become stiff and not understanding why.
Yeah.
This is like bad for you. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Other concept that's kind of important to follow, and that we do not see in the military style of club swinging, is that the head leads and the body follows. So where I'm looking, if I'm looking left, usually there's tendency for my whole body to look left. And this is where maybe the mirror can be a trap. Mirror is a really good tool to have to check technique and stuff, but if you constantly use it, then you forget you stand there and the movement is happening like this instead of letting it swing from side to side. So you have the full body in the movement with the rotation. Can you maybe expand a little bit on that concept?
Yeah. Well, I think it's we learn in different ways also when it comes to movements. Some people will, you know, benefit from visual cues, so they can, you know, use mirrors very efficiently. But for, you know, in my experience, specific parts of movement, for instance, keeping your shoulder back, integrated the shoulder curl. But when it comes to, you know, creating movement patterns, looking in a mirror will be, you know, a disturbing factor for many people. So it's also about, you know, challenging your proprioceptive skills.
Exactly. Learning to tune in into your own body and feel instead of try to follow a specific track.
And you know, in general, it's not, in my opinion, it's not a very good strategy to become dependent of one type of stimuli. So, for instance, if you know, are dependent on looking in the mirror every time you have to learn something new, you're actually limiting yourself. So it's good to have different strategies.
Sure.
But for some people, it can be, you know, it can be a factor that is actually making it more safe if they can see what they're doing.
Because people are so disconnected from their own body as well. They're missing that feeling. Where is my body in space? We see that a lot. People say, but I've got a straight arm. My arm is okay. There's a difference, right? And they cannot feel that, a lot of people.
And I would suggest that, you know, a strategy that can still, you know, facilitate visual learning would be to, you know, do small clips, video clips of yourself while you're doing.
To analyze after the training.
So you can actually see how you do, how you move in a full movement pattern, instead of, you know, just paying attention to one thing.
Okay. Very good. Okay. The last concept is the leg drive, and of course leg drive is going to be dependent maybe on clubs that start to weigh something that challenging enough if you're working with really light weights, and that's another aspect of the British military style of club swinging. They were swinging with very light clubs, and they still are today when they have the Royal Tattoo once a year where they do a choreography on stage. They are using light clubs, less than the regulation 2 kilos. So you can do some stuff with light clubs that you cannot do with, for example, this 2 kilo palavendal right here. So the leg drive would be using the momentum and getting that acceleration. So I'm doing that little up and down movement. You mentioned something about compensation and balance, where the leg drive makes sense. Can you expand on that a bit?
You know, first of all, I think it makes movement more efficient, because if you use your whole body instead of just parts of your body, you can actually generate more power without, you know, overstraining one or two specific muscle groups. That's one thing. And in my experience, using leg drive is also a very important factor in the way that you can use your body as a counterweight. So when you're swinging heavy objects like clubs or kettlebells, it's very important to be aware of the fact that it's very important to use your body as a counterweight. Because it will help you to maintain your center of balance.
Okay, so that's a good thing. So we covered a lot of stuff. For beginners, there's definitely some key concepts that they should have in place before they start swinging, and specifically you mentioned start to swing heavier clubs. And this is where it makes sense to go from the simple to the more complex. 1 club, 2 clubs, and then really complex figures where you're going to start moving in all sort of direction while you're swinging, right? What do you think of the app, the Heroic Sport app?
I think it's great. I think it's very useful. Your tutorials are very easy to understand.
Do you think there's the progression of the exercise makes sense for a new beginner?
It definitely it does for me.
Okay.
So I can only speak for myself. But I think again, in context of learning, you have the visual cues. You also use your voice to guide a new beginner through the exercises. So I think it's great.
Cool. Thanks for that. Well, that was a wrap, guys. Thank you for watching. Remember, you can learn how to swing Indian clubs by going on heroicsport.com. Follow the steps described in the apps. We have all sorts of tutorials, stuff that you can do to learn how to swing the clubs, and what do you do when you have learned the basic exercise. So circuit training, combination, complexes and stuff like that, stuff that Henrik is about to try shortly, because I've planned a little surprise for him as a thank you for coming on the program. So remember, the Palavandals also available at heroicsport.com. Henrik, thanks a lot for coming, dropping by, and we're going to put you through the paces very shortly. So.
Sounds great.
Maybe we'll have you back another time. Thanks for watching, and all the best from heroicsport.com.